Yeah. Bunch of waterheads boarding pity boats, thinking they mavericks. I learned how to swim upstream way before the flow was ever current. This a different palette. Groom the Ganesh like a who's the steady booty. Still heard an awful lot in human form. Said nothing at all when they try to play me. Pray on me like compliments are supposed to pay me for a feature. I need at least a house worth full of cavities to sleep sweet and sound in. How many pieces of myself are left in the hands of strangers? Astounding how a noble heart can live when destitute. The consequences resounding. Half a decade.
Even better than I was the last time, baby. Ooh, 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 ooh. And we back. Molweni kuninoke. Gama lami ngithando lwethu abanye benu bandazi ngo Coffee Mac. Utata wesizwe, and welcome to part 3 of Stogie's Sway in the Morning Freestyle. It's definitely not the last. Stogie had a mouthful, and we also had a lot to break down. So there definitely will be a part 4. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, I suggest that you go now and then you go and check them out so that you're up to speed with what's going on. And then we also dropped a 3-part series of why I believe the track listing to Olivia Dean's The Art of Loving is perfect for showcasing the album's themes and, all of the things that it highlights. So I also suggest that you do go and check that out as well. Also, you can also head on to my TikTok at Coffee Mac. Check all of those things out right there. We have samples. We have also a baby blue analysis. Daniel says a baby blue analysis. So I do suggest that you go and check that out. I know that we haven't gone back to TikTok finds. And next week, we surely will be dropping an episode on that as well. I'm also sorry on that end. It's just a lot that I've been, I'm trying to get rid of all of these side quests so that we can then focus on that. But we're definitely going to be going back there. Let us get into it. Recap. Stogie, we spoke on RuPaul and all of those things. So now continuing, Stogie then says,
Shabazz and them shit in the pocket like the Autobahn assassin. They gon' photograph an African prototype of a starving kid, but not show you the royal blue Aston Martin whip. It's complicated. And fuck vibranium, educate them. We got ghettos too, and they orange juice concentrated. But Bo Brady said, be measured in your actions. Give them honey and pain, happiness and the anguish. Like when Tony got the flooded rollie and we called it hope.
In the pocket like the Autobahn assassin. Right, so coming off of letting us know who his handlers are, Nas, Al-Haj Malik, Malcolm X, right, as well as Al-Shabazz, social activists and people who led the social activist movement and who used art to, to rebel against the system. So Stogie says in the pocket like the Autobahn assassin. So I'm not going to read the other lines. I just want us to get into this quickly because there is so much to unpack. So what does Stogie mean when he says he's in the pocket like the Autobahn assassin? Number one, who is the Autobahn assassin, right? So this now refers to Malcolm X was assassinated on the 21st of February 1965 in the Autobahn Ballroom in New York, Washington Heights. So now we know that Stogie T is referring to the guy who assassinated Malcolm X. But now there was a lot of quarrels and a lot of people didn't know who necessarily murdered him, right? So then there were 3 suspects. Now let's get into that. So there was Halim, Aziz, as well as Islam, who were arrested as the main suspects for Malcolm X's assassination, right? Halim apparently did confess that he is one of the people who actually assassinated Malcolm X. And then Aziz as well as Islam claimed their innocence and stated that they didn't murder Malcolm X, right? And then Halim also agreed with them that they were not part of this. They didn't have any part in this whatsoever, right? So it does say that they were arrested, and as years progressed, I believe a lawyer then brought it back up and tried to look back into the case And then as the case progressed, in 2009, Islam had passed, but he also still maintained his innocence, that he didn't murder Malcolm X, right? In 2009, he had passed without knowing any of the developments. Apparently, the FBI also withheld information indicating that there was a main suspect who was actually Bradley William X, who also later changed his name. But Bradley also does say that he had no part in assassinating Malcolm X, right? So it says William was linked to the assassination of Malcolm X, but he denied any involvement, as I stated, and was never charged, but he later on passed away in 2018. There's also, apparently there's also evidence that he had previously been arrested for murdering 3 people with a shotgun, right? So this is actually from the New York Times, as well as the Netflix docuseries Who Killed Malcolm X. The Islam, I believe, not Islam, Aziz was later also, the state then later also proved his innocence. They said that he was innocent and actually didn't have a part in this, and he was very elated by that. You guys can head on to the internet to find out more about that, right? So Malcolm's assassinator also used a shotgun, right? So now let us go into what Stogie T is actually saying when he says in the pocket like the Audubon assassin, right? So if this guy was able to kill 3 people, allegedly was able to kill 3 people with a shotgun, then he must know what he is doing, right? So now let's go into the pocket, right? In the pocket like the shoulder bone assassin. So the pocket, obviously the shoulder pocket, this refers to the shoulder pocket, the space between your shoulder joint and your chest, where the stock of the gun rests when you mount the gun, right? So it provides a stable base for the shotgun to coil against when fired, right? So better control of the shotgun. So this is all from Shotgun Life magazine, right? Apparently they say it helps align your eye with the barrel, improving aim and accuracy, right? So yeah, the name of the article is Why the Shoulder Pocket is Critical When Shooting a Shotgun, right? So now we know that in the pocket, so he's like a shotgun, he's in the pocket and he's aiming. This refers to him being able to shoot properly, accurately as fuck, and he's right there, he's delivering killer shots, right? So Stogie is like the assassin with his accuracy, as I stated. So even on the first verse or second verse where he was like MJ killing them with the flu shot, so that also creates a beautiful thread, right? MJ killing them with the flu shot. They're not in form, flu shot, but now in the pocket. But now another meaning for it is drummers. When a drummer is like really going at it, they like in a flow state, they also do say that they're in a pocket. So in a pocket like the Audubon assassin, right? But he's also in a pocket, meaning that he is also in flow state. But also sometimes guns are also referred to as sticks. So when Stogie T says in the pocket, like a drummer, he's in the pocket, but he's also carrying a what? A stick. A drum. Dog. So Stogie is saying he's in the pocket like the Audubon assassin because he's flowing on this freestyle. And he also did say back then, Gucci grew up on real hammers, M16 hammers. No dances, miss me with the MC hammer. What are we talking about? Dog, he's a shooter because MCs, you know what I mean?
Now listen, that's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
Bruh, and he had just mentioned, bro, this is like a writing masterclass. And he had just mentioned that his handler is Nas who read El Shabazz Malik, who is who? Malcolm X. And then now he is also highlighting Malcolm X's assassination. But I'm in the pocket, like... and the bars he had been spitting previously. Come on, bruh. Come on, bro. Dog. So following up from that, he then says they're gonna photograph an African prototype of a starving kid, but not show you the royal blue Aston Martin whip. It's complicated. And fuck vibranium, educate them. We got ghettos too, and their orange juice concentrated. Okay. So here's Stogie. Okay, now let's go into what the word prototype actually means, right? So prototype refers to a first or preliminary version of a device or vehicle from which other forms are developed, right? An individual that exhibits the essential features of a later type, right? So this is all according to Merriam-Webster, right? So here Stogie T refers to the hypocrisy of Western media, right? In always showcasing poor African children, right? And not showcasing the other part of the wealth that we actually have here in Africa. So this is actually something he also spoke on in the first verse, where he was like, the opulent meet the poor, cleaning their offices. We push rocket ships, right? Like Elon Musk charged the whip, but still stuck in shit because we don't got a pot to piss in. So Stogie on this freestyle is here to elaborate the dualities that actually exist in Africa, but not only in Africa in its entirety, even in South Africa as a South African, that yes, we do have starving people, but we also do have rich people, right? Also, I like the fact that he says the royal blue Aston Martin whip, because that in itself shows you like an Aston Martin is upper echelon luxury, also royal blue, also referring to the royalties that we actually have here in Africa, the chiefs, the kings, and all of those things. You know, it's complicated. So it's more than just like poor people, because the Western media could also be doing this to funnel money out of other Europeans as well. People maybe who sympathize with the fact that, like, conditions are like that in Africa, right? Let me donate. So now they're gonna chow that money because, NGOs and all of those things. Some people, yes, run legitimate NGOs, but then some people will do that so that they can funnel money out of other countries, other people as well. Because even here, even we as Africans, maybe you might say, I don't like seeing my brothers or my sisters like that. So you know what? Let me donate to the cause. You understand? So that's what Stogie is saying. They're going to show you a prototype. But the Western media could also be doing this to propagate that stereotype that we are above them and they are below us, right? These are the conditions in Africa. This is how they're living, right? So we will always be above them. Somewhat showing that our lack of resources means that we're not able to provide for ourselves, or we're not able to think for ourselves, hence allowing them to then continue to steal the materials, or continue to, funnel the wealth out of the country to then fuel their own wealth, right? Maybe they'll say, we can't handle these minerals, so we're going to take care of them for you guys. You understand? So which is why they'll continuously do that. So now, by then taking pictures of the royal blue Aston Martin whip, that would then change the narrative and the way that Western people think about Africa, because that's also something that Speed's vlog did, right? His stream, when he came to Africa, a lot of people in Western countries are like, yo, I didn't know people were living like this in Africa, like that changed my whole perspective, or what we've been taught on Africa, right? Okay, yeah, people are starving there, like the poverty is there, but then there are also people who are living really, really good, right? Yeah. So that's what Stogie T is speaking on. And then also when he says, and fuck vibranium, educate them, we got ghettos too, and their orange juice concentrated. Excuse me. So we know here that he's actually referring to the vibranium from the movie Black Panther, right? Wakanda. So Black Panther, vibranium is found in Wakanda, an indestructible metal, right? Is that what it says? So vibranium is a fictional, nearly indestructible metal in the Marvel universe known for absorbing kinetic energy, right? It is predominantly found in Wakanda, which we know is Africa, right? So I also do think that Ryan Coogler here was speaking on the mineral wealth that we have as Africans. So him saying that fuck vibranium, educate him, we got ghettos too, and the orange juice concentrated. This also again speaks to the utopian or the utopian view of Africa. Maybe I would say for the utopian view of Africa that is constantly pushed out to, maybe I'd say, Black Americans, you know, like things like that. Yeah, like that view which you, oh, the land of milk and honey. You understand? The land of milk and honey. Like, yeah, they know we're not good and stuff like that, but then because of how systems out there are against Black people, of course, when they come here, maybe it's gonna be, oh man, you know, I don't have to walk around like, you know, looking over my shoulder because of a white person, because the majority is mainly Black people, right? So Stogie again is criticizing the utopian. If it's not utopian, it's dystopian, right? So him saying that we've got ghettos too and the orange juice concentrated, this speaks to the fact that, especially in South Africa, I don't know if we rank in the top 10. If I'm not mistaken, I do think we rank in the top 10 for having the most slums, right? The orange juice concentrated. So we do obviously know how concentrated orange juice is. But now I also do think that when he says the orange juice concentrated, he could be highlighting the fact that in these slums, in these ghettos, there's a lack of resources. The drinking water is bad. You know, things are bad. So people don't necessarily lean on drinking water, but also will resort to drinking like things like cool drink or juice because that tastes better. Hence leading to sugar diabetes or sicknesses of that sort. You understand? We've got ghettos too and the orange juice concentrate, meaning that there are a lot of people in the ghettos, and also there are a lot of ghettos in Africa. So Stogie is rebelling against, or he is speaking against this. If it's not utopian, it's dystopian, right? So if you're not showing the poor kid, you're showing the rich. Like you never show the middle, or you never show a balanced view of what Africa is, or you know, if you wanna feel sad for us, you just show us the prototype of a starving kid, the one with the torn clothes, standing there, is dirty, is not clean. But also maybe sometimes there is a poor person who is clean and doesn't look like that. You understand? So that's what Stogie is speaking against, that we don't want this narrative that Africa is this haven when things are bad. Like, educate them, show them that, yo, like, you know, like speeds stream. I believe that's what Stogie was actually talking about, right? Yeah. So he then continues to say, Bo Brady said, be measured in your actions. Give them honey and pain, happiness and the anguish. Like when Tony flooded the rollie, we called it hope. Woo! So now who is Bo Brady? Bo Brady is a fictional character from the soap opera Days of Our Lives, played by Peter Raquel. Yes, played by Peter Raquel. So Bo Brady says, be measured in your actions. I also do believe that is a South African reference, because a lot of people, a lot of millennials growing up watched shows like Days of Our Lives, as well as Bold and the Beautiful, you know, yeah, shows like that. So Bo Brady said, be measured in your actions. But this then creates a beautiful thread once again in terms of when he says, in your action, give them honey and pain, the anguish and happiness, right? What we had been speaking about on the dualities, the rich, the poor. Now give them the pain, and then you give them the joy. You understand? Like luma uvutele type thing. That's what we tend to say in this class. But ulume vutele, yabo, like you're saying something offensive, but then the way you're saying it, it doesn't necessarily, you know, like askis, like ufana nekundwan type thing. You're like a rat. Yeah, you're like a rat because you're biting, but also at the same time you're trying to make sure that that person doesn't feel the pain. Apparently that's what they say about rats. They say that when they bite you, you don't feel it. Right? I don't know how true that is, but yeah. So like when Tony flooded the rollie and we called it Hope, right? So now, who is Tony? So Tony is a wellness coach who taught people, I believe, about the 5 things that can help them with their mental health. But Tony, growing up, had always had this dream of one day owning a Rolex, right? Which he then finally did when his career as a wellness coach, or yeah, a wellness coach and author started taking off, right? So we called it Hope because this guy who dreamed of having a rollie finally achieved it, right? But I also like the fact that he says when he flooded the rollie, because when he says he flooded the rollie, it means that he filled the Rolex with diamonds, right? To show how rich this guy actually is now, right? So by saying this, Stogie T is actually exposing the crookedness of the capitalist system, right? Because the one person you'd probably look to maybe not necessarily care about material wealth, who is selling you this idea of like mental well-being, right? Like, oh no, those things don't matter, blah, 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 blah. You know how it is, right? Like a monk of sorts, right, who is selling you all of these things, is somewhat still a slave to the capitalist system, because he is then selling this thing that will then be able to give him the money to buy the Rolex, right? Showing that he is also a slave to the capitalist system, right? So Stogie is actually exposing the crookedness of the system, right? So that's what Stogie T is showing, that it's all a game. Basically, it's all a game. Like someone might tell you this, and then if you buy it, they're going to be rich enough to also have their place or to own a piece of the pie. We called it Hope. So by Tony finally owning a rollie, what then happens is that people are going to be like, yo, Tony must have some formula. You know what? Let me go and get what? Tony's book. Tony is selling a program, right? So obviously people are left with the hope that, yo, I can do it too. But now obviously if I want to achieve a certain thing, I then have to go and get what? Tony's book. So it still leaves you with some sort of a void to say the happiness and the anguish that he was speaking on. Like, yo, finally, Tony got the rollie. Oh my God, he had been dreaming of getting it. But now it leaves you with the void to say, he did it, so now I'm gonna need to do what he's doing, right? So now you have anguish, you have this void. Let me go and get his book, and then let me try and follow what he does, or let me try see how he did what he did, right? And then maybe if you also make it, you develop your own thing, that's now also gonna make you understand. And also when we look at Tony, if you are someone, this also happens a lot with our stars or people we see as being famous, right? If they came from nothing and now finally they shoot into the stars. Of course, whatever community they're from, as well as the nation or people because there is a saying that all ghettos are the same, right? All ghettos are the same. So of course, when someone from a place like that, the township, makes it out, his or her win is our win, right? Take, for example, Maklera. Maklera is the perfect representation of maybe something like that. He made it out just by being authentic, right? Or doing something of that sort. And now he's going to breed a lot more kids from similar places to do the same thing, right? To try and do that. So now they have hope that, yo, I can also make it out. But then there's also that thing now, that void. Oh, what is Maklera doing? Oh, Maklera is wearing Cavellas. Let me also get Cavellas. then maybe I'll, you know, fit into that bracket. I'm headed in the right direction type thing. But, and then the system continues to use those people like that, right? Like, if you want your dollar, keep using these people, give them the pain and the anguish, the happiness and the anguish, you know what I mean? Keep showing yourself that, you know, I still am with you guys. Although I am getting this cash, I still am with you guys. Like, even though I have this material wealth, I might say, man, you know, money is not everything. You know, if you're happy, if your soul is good, you understand? So that's what Stogie is basically criticizing, and that's what he is saying about the system. But now, this also creates a beautiful thread in that when he says we called it hope, yes, what did Bo Brady call his yacht? Oh, Bo Brady actually had a wife on Days of Our Lives whose name was Hope, and then he called her what? Fancy Face, who he later bought, I believe, 2 yachts, if I'm not mistaken, for, and then he called them Hope. Bro, Stogie was rapping. Dog. And then now he says, right, continuing with and then we called it hope.
For all the times the Popo had my folks against the ropes. For all the times he drove a shorty out to Mary Stopes. And all the ones we almost broke, but still be calling hoes. They fall for men who end up teaching them the rope a dope. These the broken homes we from. It ain't sweet like it's marijuana, leave highs like Maradona sniff white. Strangled by a short leash, my mama hold her fist tight. Tell a bigot he can suck and lick a piss pipe. Cause we gon' get that level up and win in this life. Hey, I'm from the real south, not the fried catfish killer Mike. I mean that township, real south.
All the times the po had my folks against the ropes. For all the times we drove shorty to Mary Stopes, and all the ones we almost broke but still be calling hoes. Oh my god, bro. They fall for men who end up teaching them the rope a dope. Oh. So let's get into it. So of course, we called it hope for all the times the Popo had my folks against the ropes. So that's what I was saying, Uguti, you know. So now Tony bought the rollie. Someone from the hood can also see that, oh, I can also make it out of there, right? From the ghetto, I can also make it out and become a Tony myself. You understand? So now when he says for all the times the Popo had my folks against the ropes, this creates a clever analogy of the lynching of freedom fighters or people, black people in apartheid South Africa, right? They had my people against the ropes. But now it creates this thing when you're against the ropes, yeah, of course, you are fighting, you are don't, but it also creates this picture that you are in a wrestling match, because when you're against the ropes, obviously either you're boxing or you're in a ring and you are fighting. They had my folks against the ropes. So that's a double or a triple entendre in that my folks against the ropes, but also my folks against the ropes. They were fighting for their freedom. So when Tona's able to do that, now we called it hope, because that shows which, oh, the thing is starting to go our way, right? And freedom, economic freedom might be closer than we think, because, okay, yeah, we've survived that segregation, but now we're seeking economic freedom, right? And then he says, for all the times we drove shorty to Mary Stopes, and all the ones we almost broke but still be calling hoes. So it was hoped that maybe things were also going to change for the woman. Google pay Mary Stopes. So Mary Stopes is actually an abortion clinic, I believe, that also provides help with other things, you know. So Stogie T is referring to the women we as men will have casual sex with, and then once they get pregnant, we take them to Mary Stopes, telling them that, yo, I can't be a dad, you know. The broken system in that. And then once those women do that, and then now when we're done with them, we're like, nah, I'm good with her. We start calling her a hoe, right? But when we are having our fun with them, we weren't saying all of those things, right? So now that is what Stogie is also referring to. Guti. Things are probably changing in that aspect. Not only are they changing like with apartheid and poverty, but also maybe women are also gonna start getting treated better, right? Yeah. So him again saying that they fall for men who teach them the rope a dope. This then links again with what I was saying with that analogy of fighting in a wrestling match, or because the rope a dope is actually a move that was done by Muhammad Ali, right? Or by a boxer when someone is boxing him and then they want to defend themselves, right? So they lean against the ropes and then they end up falling for men who teach them the rope a dope. So Stogie T spoke on the men who be taking shorty to marry Stopes. We break them emotionally and also physically, and then we call them hoes, right? So now, this is because, okay, so the patriarchal system, or the kind of men that are created in this whole system, tend to be abusive men. The apartheid system, right? The apartheid system, the patriarchal system, capitalism, right? If a man is not present, he is gone. He's absent. He's nowhere to be found. He's an absent father. But if he is there, he is then abusing his woman, right? This also reminds me of a video that James Baldwin actually spoke on, specifically with black men, in a conversation with Nikki Giovanni, where he said that out there his dad was his hero. Like, his dad is his hero, right? He viewed him as this huge figure. But now in the outside, his dad is getting ill-treated by the white man, right? Or the white police and all of those things. So his dad will then start to feel small. And now when he gets home, he exerts that power onto his family, you know, because now I'm the head of the house. So you guys will listen to what I'm saying. And then leading to this whole thing of him becoming an abusive man, right? It's not right, but I do think that it provides a good context into that. And also now imagine if a lady is born into that, right? Her dad is abusive, and then, you know, towards her mom. She might not subconsciously want to be beaten up, but if that's the idea she has of love, that's what's gonna end up happening. She might end up attracting someone of that kind who is aggressive, who fights, and, you know, like, who's abusive towards her, because she hasn't seen anything that is different from that, right? And also in society, it's normalized. Like, back then it was normalized, really, you know, like, yes, they fought against it, but then it was a thing, like, don't leave. You understand? Uzoyapi if you leave him, right? Yeah. And also, since a lot of men were providers back then, like, they were working and they were providing, of course, when he provides for you, uzoyapi, uzokshaya. Do you understand? So that's what he says, that they end up falling for the men who teach them the rope a dope. Right, so actually showing Uguti this thing. And then he says, these are the broken homes we from. It ain't sweet like marijuana leaves high, right? Like Maradona sniff white. So he's showing, okay, you know, it's not nice. It's not nice. Marijuana leaves high. Maradona sniff white. Also, that rope a dope, it also links in very well with Maradona sniff white, the pain and the pleasure that he's actually speaking about. And now he highlights it, which the pain and then the pleasure, these are the homes that we're from. You understand? Yeah. And then he also continues to say, strangled by a short leash, my mama hold the fist tight. Right? So the short leash, racism, systemic racism, or blatant racism. Also, going back to what I was saying, for all the times the Popo had my folks against the ropes. Right? So now so the lynching, and to me, I thought that, oh, okay, you know, when you're getting hung, or when someone's getting hung, the thing they'll do is they'll clinch on to the rope, like, you know what I mean? Then creating a some kind of a fist. So strangled by a short leash, my mama hold the fist tight, right? So Stogie is actually showing that even though they try, and she still encourages the people to fight for their rights, right? And when he says strangled by a short leash, also Stogie's mom, as we had already mentioned, is an ANC veteran, right? So holding her fist tight could be that, okay, in the rope-a-dope, obviously you're in defense, you're just waiting for this person to open up so that you can also fight back. So amandla, right? Keep fighting. Even though they keep strangling us, we must keep fighting. Amandla, and then abuye, and then she, right? And then Stogie T says, tell a bigot he can suck on a piss pipe. So that's just telling a racist to, like F off type thing. He can suck a piss pipe. He can suck a piss pipe, right? Yeah. So Stogie says, tell a bigot he can suck and lick a piss pipe, cause we gonna get the level up and win in this life, right? So he's exactly telling the racist fuckers to F off. You know what I mean? Just fuck off, right? And then, so yeah, and we're gonna get a level up and win in this life. I think that's quite literal. Yo, we're still gonna win. And in this life, not in the next one. No, we're gonna win now. So he is bringing back the what? The hope. But now he is bringing it through what? Through music. We're gonna get the level up. So my people, don't stop fighting. Keep holding your fists up. Amandla. You understand? Let's keep going. Let's keep rebelling. Let's keep revolting. Stay woke. You understand what I mean? So that is what Stogie T is saying. The pain and the pleasure. Still sticking to those dualities. Bruh, this freestyle is beautiful. Like, my God. This freestyle is beautiful. Then he continues to say, I'm from the real South. Not the fried catfish Killer Mike. I mean a township real South. Right? So who is Killer Mike? Killer Mike is legendary rapper and Grammy award winning rapper, who caused a lot of controversy also because he was up against Travis Scott. Oh my God, I can't be, I debated with my friends over this, guys. They're like, no, Travis Scott. Come on, bro, it's Killer Mike, dog. Run the jewels, nigga. So yeah, Killer Mike is actually from Atlanta. Right, so him saying that I'm from the real South, not the fried catfish Killer Mike South, right? And apparently catfish is actually one of the staples there in Atlanta. If I'm wrong, you guys can correct me. This is all according to the internet, and also I've never been there. So they do state that it's a staple that side because of its abundance, right? So yeah, it is fried killer fish, Killer Mike real South. I mean a township real South. So Stogie did mention also in the interview with George from the Inside Show that when his parents came back from exile, he then went to stay with his relatives in Soweto, right? I mean a township real South. So he's speaking about the township in South Africa, right? So here he could also be saying that Mike is from the South, but not the South because he is in the North. So I also do think that that word, yoguti, catfish, right? So it's a make-believe South. It's a make-believe South. That's what he's saying. I'm from the real South in South Africa, Southwestern Township in South Africa. And you're over there in the North, right? Yeah. So yeah. And I'll be ending this freestyle here. So that's what Stogie is saying, that he's from the real South. Yeah, Southwestern Township, Soweto. Yeah. So I'll be ending this freestyle here, and I'll be checking you guys out for part 4, the last and the final part. I hope this was not too short, but also I made it short because I'm battling space, right? Yeah, I'm fighting space, guys. Hey, space is sick. So yeah, I'm battling space, and I didn't want to make it too long, and then now I gave you guys multiple parts. But I'll definitely be checking you guys out on the next one. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please do leave a comment, subscribe, and do all the right things, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I can keep giving you this fire content. Even if you weren't subscribing, I was still gonna do the shit, but but yeah. Anyways, that's it from me. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace and love.